Ba-da-da-dum. Da-da-da-dum. Bum, bum, bum. Can you hear me now? I think we're good. Looks like we're good. Gemini's funny. Gemini says, no sound on YouTube. It's all Dawn's fault. It's not actually. I'm not sure what happened. I'm guessing it had something to do with an update. Gotta love the software updates. Yep. But I knew how to fix it this time. This is a good thing. So hi, everybody. So those of you on YouTube world, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, now that you can hear me. And no matter how you are listening, make sure you stop in one of the chat rooms and say hi. Or you can always send me the email at wildepaisley@gmail.com. That's WILDEPAISLEY@gmail.com. Leo says I need a bigger hammer. You know what? There are days. Yes. And then let's see what else. If you want to learn more about me or what's going on in my world and what's new and what I'm doing or new updates, you can always check out the website. That's www.paisleywild.com. Or if you just want to support my radio habit, you can always just do the cash tag, and that's $TheSpacesBetween. And while you're doing your research, because you should be doing your research, right? Go to iLife.com. iLife is the official sponsor for Truth Frequency Radio. iLife combines the best non-psychoactive properties of the ayahuasca with high-quality CBD to support you, because you are important. And if I did it right, I did. The call lines are open, so that number is 213-233-3998. Or if you're across the pond in the UK, it is 44-203-393-2871. All right. Just checking all the different alerts. Oh, yeah, you can always buy the book. You can do that on the website. Or it is available at on Amazon. It's The Wild Pagan, A to Z. And it's kind of a primer book with some intro words, A to Z. Not necessarily for kids, but also for kids. There are some big things in there. Well, altar is pretty basic because, altars are important. Xenophobia, though, that's a big word. That's a $20 word. But it's important. We should not fear those things that we don't understand. That's it should be rule number one. You don't understand it, don't fear it. Instead, learn more. That way, you just don't fear, right? Because, fear is the mind killer. So saith Dune. And Frank Herbert. Actually, fear is the mind killer. So many things can go awry when you let fear control you. Yes. Speaking of fear, I'm afraid my coffee cup's almost empty. Almost. I need the coffee. I took a 3-hour nap today, which was fantastic. I don't normally get to take a 3-hour nap. But I got to tell you, I felt pretty good afterwards. So I've been dealing with this sciatic pain, which is fantastic, with the heavy dose of sarcasm. Yeah, freaking fantastic. And so my choice is either no sleep or no sleep and significant discomfort, or I get to take the painkillers. There's no happy medium. It's one or the other. And I'm totally excited because I have my appointment with the spinal surgeon next week to see what the plan is. And I gotta tell you, I don't care. Just fix it. Make it better. That or I need to bling my cane because my cane is boring. I may just have to bling the cane anyways. I saw somebody with a cane yesterday. And I'm sure it was an ugly cane to begin with, but she went through and I don't know if it was like athletic tape or what she did to it, but she had this ribbon thing wrapped all the way around it. It looks really, really awesome. So now it's like, it's Halloween season. What can I find at the dollar store to bling out my cane? There can be a new show out there. Trick my cane. Yeah, trick out my cane. Is it trick my ride, trick my cane? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, I know I'm weird. It's okay. We kept Mini-Me home from school the last couple days. Make canes great again. She ended up with a little sinus infection. And you know what? I made tea. I used the mint that I grew. I used oak leaves that I harvested myself and dried. A little bit of honey, some chamomile, some licorice root, cinnamon, or pumpkin pie spice. Hey, Jake. So yeah, I gotta say, it tasted good to me. It was minty and smooth and sweet and all that. She told me it was too sweet, but it was, I think, really, really good. She had that, and she had some quinine, some tonic water, or soda water, tonic, yeah, something like that. The achy stuff with the quinine in it. So that mixed with some Powerade, and honestly, she probably could have gone to school today, but we figured, you know what, one more day home, taking the homeopathic treatments is probably good for her. And for those of you who watch the news, I don't know, you guys seeing that Idaho is having to ration medical care? This is news to me, and I live here. Not sure what that's all about, because I'm getting into the doctor with no problem. My primary care and all the specialists I have to go see. Then I guess there's a problem. I don't know. I guess I'll find out how much of a problem when I talk to the surgeon next week. Because if the surgeon says that we got to put things on hold until the elective surgeries are able to be done again, because right now they're doing just the emergency or the life saving type of surgeries, which okay is just interesting to me. So in these odd times that we live, so many people are worried about the COVID and being healthy and such, so because of that, you need to take care of yourself, be healthy, and that kind of thing. But as we saw with the shutdown that happened, and for some people it never reopened, but it's still shut down, there were things that were less able to find. I know that when that happened, Minnie got sick. She gets a sinus infection, this poor kid, and we couldn't find any cold medicine for her at all. No children's Tylenol. And so we ordered a case of it from the dollar store because nobody had any on the shelves. And so we ended up with a case of children's Tylenol, and we put it in stockings there for a little bit because we had all this Tylenol and didn't need any of it. So it's just it's crazy the things that you can no longer find. And I'm sure you guys are seeing different weird bare spots in your grocery stores as well. Well, same thing seems to be happening with our medical world. So you need to make sure you are preparing yourselves as much as possible. That's why iLife is a good thing to have on hand, because it supports all of you, not just here, you're going to put a Band-Aid on this wound and you're going to take a pill for that issue, and here, there. No, iLife is good for all of it. And I mentioned the oak leaves. So oak leaf is an antimicrobial when used as an infusion, like a tea. And I don't know, it's a little earthy tasting, but it's not bad. And I think I'm going to go pick some more and set it out to dry, because that's one of the trees that is a little slower to turn. And just be crazy. Oh, Leo, I did not hear about that particular event, so I told Leo about an event that's supposed to be happening. A bunch of people are up in arms over the current administration, and specifically vets are saying, hey, so just be careful. Just be careful. So, pay attention to the world around you guys. You don't have to wallow in the news, because I don't recommend that for anybody, because it will just seriously kill your vibe your happy, happy, joy, joy will be just nipped in the bud, and everybody will need depressants at that point, or antidepressants. So instead of watching the news, read a book, watch some comedy, and yeah, oak leaves is really good. It's an antimicrobial, and it's one of the things. Look at your backyard, and what do you have back there that could be medicinal or help you, or your front yard, or if you are in an apartment, just what can you grow, and what spices are in your kitchen. Cinnamon is one of those really good ones. Did you know that? Just to recap from last weekend before, cinnamon helps stabilize your blood sugar. So does a lot of the stuff in your medicine, in your kitchen cabinets. And so yeah, just interesting world we live in. And we're rapidly approaching a milestone in the calendar. The first day of fall is coming up, the fall equinox, autumnal equinox. And so I figured, yeah, let's talk about that. It's not newsworthy. It's not medicine-y. It is newsworthy, but it... Sorry, I have cats. And apparently something tipped over. Cats are anti-gravity. Do you know why? Because they steal the gravity from every inanimate object that they knock over. Gotta love the kittens, though. They're cute. They're absolutely flippin' adorable. Sort of. No, they are cute. But yeah, they drive me nuts sometimes because, yeah, they are in that current phase of life where they have to knock things over. So, yes. Yeah. Cats defy gravity by stealing it from every inanimate object they knock over. So you see it on YouTube or Facebook videos where they're knocking all those cups and things off the off the counters or tables or whatever. Especially if it's a fat cat, it's because they're trying to defy gravity and they have to knock more off. So yeah, ugh, blasted cats. So autumn equinox. The Lucky says, seriously, that also explains why you can't get up when they're sitting on your lap. Yes, exactly. We have 2 kittens that are about 5 months old, 6 months old, and they like to sit on me, which is fine, right? Except for when they sit on me, I promptly have to fall asleep. It's just like, right. It's like, they put me to sleep. They start purring because they're sitting on me, and it just rumbles me to sleep. It's crazy. Oh, goodness. Go away. One of those updates put something on the computer that likes to pop up, and it's highly annoying. Pop-ups suck. Anyways, so autumn equinox. It's generally around September 21st, sometimes September 22nd. Here in the northern hemisphere, down south, it's March 21st, 22nd, sometimes the 20th. Check your calendar. That way you know when exactly. But equinox means equal amounts of day or light and dark in your night sky or your sky, whatever. And as we're winding down the year and we're moving firmly into fall, it's time to kind of look back at our year. What's happened? What's changed? What's good? What's bad? What are we ready to give thanks for? What are we ready to let go of? And sometimes we've had a major abundance, and that's why we're giving thanks. Sometimes we've had just a craptastic year, and we're ready to let go and move on. Because so September is Equinox, Mabon is the holiday, and October is Samhain, or Samhain, Halloween, however you want to say it, and that's on the 31st of October, and generally speaking, that's the end of the Pagan year. So we are rapidly approaching the end of the Pagan year, so we're looking at the Pagan year, and what has happened? Well, this year we've experienced more COVID-19. We've got the Delta variant now. I've heard about the Lambda variant. We've got everything was opened up. Now everything's shutting down. Schools are back in session, but some schools are still distancing. People are hesitant to move forward. Some want to step back. The market's all over the place. The valuation on gold and silver is complicated. Cryptocurrency was good, then it was bad, then it was good. Basically, you want to look, if you're investing in things, don't just look at the short-term goals. What's your long-term goals? Know what your goals are. Maybe I should do, oh, now it's Mo? You know, I don't think they know what's going on. The proverbial they. I mean, they need to start naming these things like they do the hurricanes. Seriously, isn't it like Hurricane Neil is about to strike or something? I'm curious now. Squirrel moment. Hurricane list 2021. So this year we have had, let's see, we've had Anna, Bill, excuse me. Bill, Claudette, Danny, Elsa, Fred, Grace, Henri, Ida, Julian, Kate, Larry, Mindy, Nicholas, I think is the one just landed, and Odette is it up next. Oh, Mew, not Mo. So yeah, Peter, and then Peter, Rose. Yep, great. So yeah, start naming the viruses by, pick a random name and go with it, for crying out loud. Trying not to comment too much on the COVID because it'll get me shut down, right? Mostly, when it comes to COVID, I want you to do your research, informed research. That does not mean social media. Understand who is citing what and where they're getting their information and what they're getting out of it also. And make informed decisions about your health, whatever it is. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. I did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express. Do your research. Make sure you're making the right decision for you and your family. That's the biggest thing. Be educated. So, yeah. So yeah, maybe you're ready for this year to be done and over with because you're done. You're just done, ready to move on. New year, new opportunities for mischief and mayhem, right? So maybe the thanks you're giving is this year's about over, which I totally understand. And you know what? There's quite a few different ways to celebrate Mabon. Some people consider it a second harvest because often right about July there's a first harvest. In some areas it's like the first cutting of hay is the first harvest, and now we're looking at the second harvest or second cutting of hay. We didn't get that this year in Idaho because we didn't get enough rain, or at least North Idaho. And generally speaking, though, regardless of the way you celebrate, you're celebrating the balance between light and the dark, the yin, the yang. I'm a Libra, so I totally get the balance. It makes total sense to me to make sure things are balanced. So we're celebrating the gifts of the earth, but we're also celebrating that the earth is dying or going dormant. It's the little death. Because it's going to sleep, just like so many mammals like bears and such go dormant in the winter. They go to sleep, they hibernate. Plants around the world go dormant in the winter. Like my maple tree right now is mostly bare. Most of the leaves have fallen off because it's about ready to go dormant. My oak tree is just starting to turn. My walnut tree is starting to turn. The tamaracks are starting to turn. I love this time of year. I love the colors. They're just so warm and awesome. And even though the temperatures are colder, to me, it's just my favoriteest time of the year. So we're celebrating life, but we're also celebrating death. And that is something that so often we as a people have a hard time with death. We have a hard time celebrating it. In part because here in the Western society, at least, we're taught to fear death. And it's frustrating because death is not something to be afraid of. It is simply a transition. It's from one step to the next. It's like going through a doorway, going down a slide. It's a transition point. That's all it is. It's the pivot in the middle of the teeter-totter, so you can go the next direction. And we have plenty of food to eat, but the crops, the basic root plants are dying. Like I have tomatoes, they're rapidly getting ripe, tomatoes and peppers both, but the vines are starting to die. It's normal. It's that time of year. And, even though we're concerned with the coming temperatures, staying warm, because I get it. I live in North Idaho, remember? I'm expecting real snow this year, unlike last year. To be honest, it's cold enough, especially at the upper elevations. I would not be horribly surprised if there isn't snow on our ski resort by the end of the weekend. Just saying. Because, yeah, it is... I think winter is coming a little earlier this year. So, there are quite a few different ways to celebrate Mabon or to observe the rituals or the significance, I should say, of the fall equinox. And some of the ways are easier for a solo practitioner. Some make more sense as a group. Either can work. You can adapt as needed. And these are just suggestions. It's up to you it's like I'm handing you a coloring page. It's up to you to fill in the colors. You don't even have to stay on the lines. Just do what you do. And then I'm also going to talk about some ways the equinox is celebrated around the world, just because I think that's interesting too. And it's a time to make sure your planning is set. It's our last rush, if you will, to make sure you have everything you need for winter. Buy that extra little bit of meat to put in the freezer, a few extra cans of veggies to keep in the cabinet. Whatever it is that makes you feel a little bit more prepared. Here I live in a house that was built in 1972, so that is the R value, 1972. Hasn't had new insulation since then. So whatever was there is probably sagging around the poor house's ankles. And I'm weather sealing the windows, which every year it's like, I can't believe how well that works. It blows me away every year. So, but because of my back, I have to take it easy. You don't realize how much you do with your back, I guess, which makes no sense. I know. I get it. I'm whining just a bit. I'm sorry. But, yeah. I'm going to blame it on the chocolate. When you can't do like you used to, it's vexing and frustrating. I used to be able to have all the windows done in a single day, do all the fall cleaning, have it all done in a single day. Yeah, I'm lucky if I can get a room done right now. It's vexing. Very, very vexing. Before I start on the different types of rituals that we could do, I'm going to wait because, hey, guess what? It is almost the break. And it's crazy how fast this half hour goes. I also have some ideas for celebrating Samhain and some of the different rituals and such with your kiddos, because you know what? Even though I'm a mom and a grandma, my youngest is at that age where she's trying to create her own ideas of tradition. She asked me this year if we could hand out candy. And I was like, seriously, kid, for Halloween? And we live like 20 minutes outside of town. And it's like, no, people don't knock on our door here. She goes, well, can't we do one of those like trunk or treat things and we can paint the car so it looks like a sugar skull? I'm like, we're not painting the car to look like a skull. Not happening. But we'll see what we can do. So I gotta love the kids, right? So off to break, and when we come back, we'll start talking about different rituals and a way to celebrate Mabon. As soon as I find the button. Alrighty, so this is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. So I hit the button on the break time to see what's going on and listen to the music and everything, and I couldn't hear anything. So I messaged Lucky, hey, what's going on? Do you hear everything? Apparently, yeah. There's a lot going on. Did not know that. Well, you know. It's because I apparently have just malfunctions, but that's okay. So, celebrating Mabon and such. Well, to begin with, the origin of Mabon is Mabon. Is, hold on, you gotta click on the thing, and the links will be in the show notes. Most of this is coming from Learn Religions tonight, so let's see, and I use this one often just because it makes sense. Okay, they were going to tell me, so there we go. So most myths and legends, of course, happen this time of year. Have themes of life, death, and rebirth. And so Demeter and Persephone are kind of the big deal that people hear about this time of year. They're from ancient Greece. So Persephone caught the eye of Hades, who's the god of the underworld, and so they got hitched in a complicated way, and Hades took Persephone to the underworld, and Demeter is a goddess of life and fertility, and she was really upset and cried a lot, and so the earth went dormant. When she finally recovered her daughter, Persephone had eaten 6 pomegranate seeds and was doomed to spend 6 months of the year in the underworld. So it's 6 months of the life or the world, you know, in some sort of dormant cycle, and then 6 months of the year is in a growing cycle. And that fall equinox is when it starts for that dormant cycle, and spring equinox is when it ends. So from there is like what kind of celebrations do we do? So it's considered a Sabbat, one of the pagan Sabbats or witch Sabbats. And you can set up your altar real easily by decorating it with colors that are symbolic of later in the harvest season. So generally I put like maple leaves and oak leaves and such on mine. You could do sheafs of grain, like wheat, for instance, yellowed wheat, or just grain in general in a dish as an offering. Or fruit like apples are good also, especially like dried apples, because that way they're, you know, stable if you're going to leave them on your altar for any length of time. And those are all things that are very symbolic of the fall season. And generally speaking, I do like to freshen my altar periodically, at least seasonally. I don't do it monthly, generally, or even weekly. I do touch base with it often, but it's the refresh and change up the decor, if you will, is more seasonal, just because, you know, I do like to freshen it. And just like you wash your sheets once in a while, right? Well, same kind of thing with your altar. You want to freshen it up and make it more, just more. Just so you know, when you do have an altar within your home and you put things on your altar, especially like food stuff, what do you do with it, right? Do you leave it out until it finally, you know, disintegrates into dust? Well, no, not necessarily. You can put it out for the wildlife, depending on the ceremony that you're about to participate in. Some people will take that food and after thanking the gods, they will ask for their blessing, and they'll prepare it or put it in their own food as a way to continue the cycle of the food. Because very rarely are the gods going to, you know, come knock on your door and say, hey, you left something on your altar for me, I need to pick it up. You know, it's generally not what's going to happen. And so for the most part, I don't actually put food on my altar in the home. If I do food, it's going to be outside. So, and I leave it there for the wildlife to pick up, because I figure, you know, that's the best way to get the thanks that I'm leaving, the stuff out there. I'm leaving it for, you know, the deities and the spirits and such. I do put moon water on my altar, and I figure as that evaporates, it's kind of giving, some energy back into the world around me. So yeah, if it's food on your altar and you're in your home, you can feed it to the animals, or like if you use meat or wine or something like that, you can pour it around your trees or your flowers or whatever in your yard. Or you can put some of that stuff like in a dish for your bees or the wildlife to drink up, because bees do like wine or beer because the sugar's in there. So yeah, it's just, kind of a repurpose, reuse, in a way that's part of what we are doing as pagans, is we're adapting ourselves to the world as much as we're trying to adapt the world to ourselves. So it's more of a symbiotic type of relationship rather than hey, let's just use stuff up. So yeah, that's just, if you get food on your altar, make sure you dispose of it properly. Give thanks and show your appreciation. I met someone over the weekend, or over this past week. She just kind of throws it up in there and allows it to fall. Some people actually use that as a divinatory tool. Where does it land? It tells you whether, you can look at it and say, hey, well, this stuff landed here, and this, it means this. But that's a little bit more open to interpretation. If that's your thing, look into it, do some research. Because I don't know, I don't have all the answers, but I will tell you, do some research so you can find out answers for yourself. So you can create a Mabon food altar, and since it is a celebration of the harvest season, there's a lot of bounty out in the fields and the orchards and such, and people are generally bringing it in for storage. So what you could do is actually have a food altar outside, and I know quite a few folks will do that when they live rurally. They'll have a table set up, and they'll have different items on the table to represent their path, their tradition, their beliefs, the deities that they work with, and they will leave fruit and vegetables and grasses and seeds and such out on the table for the wildlife. And I think that's kind of cool, because you're not necessarily feeding the wildlife, but you are leaving an altar out, you're appreciating them, and you're paying it forward, basically. There are quite a, let's see. So there are, when it comes to the equinox, find some balance. When it comes, you're the day and night, where's your balance? So you're trying to not just find the balance between light and dark, but also work life, home life, family life, friend life. Sometimes it's technology. Are you spending too much time on your video games? Ask yourself that question. Or too much time in front of the TV. If you were to cut out a TV show every week and go to the gym instead, how much healthier would you be? So you do need to find that stable time. I find that if I don't schedule myself appropriately, I don't get much done. So I have to really, truly schedule things. And it's frustrating because I'm not very good at keeping track of myself. Sometimes a little better than others, but yeah, it's like with my back, it tells me, nope, you need to take a break now. And I have to listen to that. If I don't, it will make me listen, and that's not fun. So it's just, instead of pushing myself to that point, I try to take the break beforehand. So I do have alarms that I'll put on my phone, or I just have to seriously listen to myself. Some people like to celebrate that balance with a food drive. And as we're approaching the holiday season, for most, it's a time of family and everything else. And so people want to have people over, and they're finding that they don't have enough food in the pantry for themselves, let alone for anybody else. So, having a food drive is also a good way to celebrate the bounties of the harvest and donate those goods then to your local food banks. I tend to prefer supporting the local food banks specifically rather than a nationwide organization or worldwide organization, just because I know that what I give locally is going to be received locally. And generally, dry goods, non-perishable items, that kind of thing, are good. This is what you can do with your kiddos. Go to an orchard. Go pick some apples. Or go to a pumpkin patch. We're going to have one here, starts up, I think, first of the month. You can go pick pumpkins and do craft thingies and run around a corn maze, that sort of stuff, which is fun. Picking apples. I love picking apples, especially after the first freeze. Apples are so sweet. Nummy, nummy. They're awesome. And apples are generally representative of the deity Pomona. She's the goddess of the fruit trees. So pick only what you can use. Or if you're going to gather extra, you can donate it to the food bank again. Or if you're going to take it home and preserve it, do so. You could, applesauce, apple butter, apple pie filling, dried apples. Just eat the apples. Actually, in my protein shakes, I like apples and peanut butter, and I use pumpkin pie spice just because I like the blend of the seasonings. And yeah, that's really yummy in my vanilla protein shake. It's just good. And yeah, it's one of those things that you could do with your kiddos, and they would really appreciate it. Because who doesn't like to go pick apples? And just, when you're out and doing that, like when I've done it with Mini-Me, she'll pick up the occasional leaf or stick that she thinks she needs to have also. It's like, all right, cool. So we're going to bring home a special stick and 20 pounds of apples. Yay. Or rocks. She likes to pick up rocks also. Let's see. There we go. Count your blessings. What are your blessings? One way to really stop and think about your blessings, honestly, as you go throughout your days. So have a jar or a bowl, like my singing bowl, just a bowl, some sort of container. And every day, on a sticky note or a piece of paper or something, write down something that you're grateful for. And this is a way of changing your mindset to see the positive in your life rather than the negative. So even though maybe you're having a craptastic day, it's like, hey, you know what? Yeah, it was a crappy day, but what was I really thankful for? Well, I'm thankful I had dry socks. I know that when my feet get cold, I tend to change my socks because then my toes just warm up really fast, or change my shoes or whatever. So, I'm grateful for my socks, or I am glad that I had ice cream in the freezer, or I'm glad I could get water out of my faucet and drink it. Just something you're thankful for. If you do that every day, and then on the equinox, you sit down and you go through that bowl or that jar of all those things that you're thankful for. Isn't that just a big deal? Maybe you're thankful for the smile that someone gave you in the checkout line, or you're thankful for the compliment you got from your boss, or you're thankful for, that back rib that you got from your significant other. All those different things, those add up because you're focused on the positive, and it changes the way you've been thinking. And then you can celebrate those things, and you can give thanks for them, and you burn them in your Equinox or your Mabon fire, and allow that thankfulness to go out into the universe and be appreciative of it, and then start over the next year. But yeah, sometimes the little things become the big things when you do that. Because if, I'm glad I had breakfast today. Well, you know what? That's kind of a big deal. Some of us don't get breakfast every day. Or some people just don't want it, which I get. Or maybe you had a really good meal with friends. Celebrate that stuff. Because we're giving thanks at this time of year. Remember to honor the darkness. Because without darkness, there's no light. Right? And without night, there's no day. And it is a really basic human need, it seems like, to overcome the dark. And that's mostly because we can't see what's happening. Our eyes are not adapted to seeing in the dark, so therefore we kind of fear what we cannot see. And it's human nature. It's okay. We need to learn to honor the dark, though, because if it didn't get dark at night, would you be able to see the stars in the sky? Nope. How about the northern lights or the southern lights? Nope. What else could you not see? Think about it. If you did not have the dark, what could you not experience? So even though it is our nature to try to overcome the darkness, we still need to try to come back, celebrate it. So Demeter's love for her daughter Persephone led her to wander the world and mourning the loss for 6 months, which brings the fallowness and the darkness to their soil each fall. And for some traditions, now is when they start celebrating the crone aspect of the triple goddess. And so we're going to honor that aspect of the goddess, the crone, which often we don't find comforting or appealing. But, we still need to be acknowledging the existence of aging. And that's what the earth is doing too. So make sure you're calling upon all of the gods and goddesses and the dark of the night also to ask for blessings this time of year. And sure, the crone aspect can be kind of scary. But again, a lot of that has to do with Western marketing, because aging is something to be feared here in the U.S., and just like death is. And again, if we don't grow old and die, how can we come back to experience the joys of youth again and being a child? It's just a step on this path of life. Another way to celebrate is just to get back to nature. It's been hot and miserable this year. A lot of fires burning and just a lot of crap happening, right? Celebrate the end of summer and the beginning of fall by going for a hike. Go outside. Enjoy the park. Enjoy the mountains. Enjoy the water. Listen for the birds as they're flocking south. Collect the leaves as they're turning, or acorns, other nuts, seed pods. Harvest the fall bounty that's out there. Now, if you are picking up things that might be restricted, just pay attention. You should know the laws and regulations of the world you live in and abide by them. You can, if you're out on a nature hike and you see a feather that's really fascinating or has some sort of meaning to you, and it is legal to pick it up, bring it home, put it on your altar, celebrate it, and give thanks to your spirit guides for giving you that particular sign. Sometimes it's, picking up the right rock or going on the right hike or meeting the right people. Remember to give thanks for all of that. There's stories that you can tell again and again and again. So those timeless stories that happen. Learn about your ancestors. It's really, as the months or the days get shorter, and in the next couple months, learn, some of the tales from your past. Hey, Julia. Whether it's your ancestors or maybe the indigenous people, the native people to where you live. And a lot of those stories are going to have that cycle of death and rebirth, death, life, and rebirth. Birth, life, death, and rebirth. There we go. So there's Osiris, Mithras, Dionysus, Odin. There's lots of deities out there who have died and then been restored to life. Find out about them. Put that information in your journal. For the ones that really resound with you, those can go in your Book of Shadows or your grimoire. There's no reason why you can't have that information ready to hand. But if you don't learn about it, how will you know it? Sometimes that knowledge, will be sprung upon you while you're sleeping. Other times, you have to go find the knowledge. Very rarely does the gift of knowledge just, fall out of the sky and land on your head? So it is not uncommon for pagans and witches to talk about energy of an experience or meeting people. It's something that we talk about often, right? And as you're celebrating Mabon, either with friends or family or the community, raise the group energy by working together. It never fails. If a group of people is working together and one person is being contrary, it sucks the life out of the group. It's literally sucking the energy out of the group. So make sure that if you are participating, you're putting energy into it, and good energy, not the bad stuff. So if you're having a drum circle or a music circle, participate, whether it's with a musical instrument, using your own voice, or just clapping your hands. Measure out the tempo of the evening. Is it a fast beat? Is it a slow beat? But listen and experience the people you're with. A lot of folks right now are looking at fall cleaning. So many talk about spring cleaning. I prefer fall cleaning, honestly, because so much debris seems to build up in the summer. I don't get it. I mean, it does all the time because it's like it repopulates or something, but, celebrate it. Anyways, as you're celebrating your hearth and home and you're doing your cleaning and stuff to get ready for fall, after you do a physical cleaning of your house, top to bottom, side to side, whatever, go through and do a ritual cleansing of your home, either with smoke or maybe moon water or salt. Bless each room as you go through. You're expelling the negative energies that might have built up from the last year, because you're getting ready for the next year. What's going to happen in the next year. Remember the gods of the vines, like grapes. Those are all, becoming ripe. So a lot of folks use this time of year to celebrate the gods of the vine, like Bacchus or Dionysus, or the Green Man, depending on, what your path is. But basically, they're all an archetype of a harvest deity. So celebrate the harvest deity within your tradition. Some people go do like a wine tasting. Some people do a beer tasting. Some do the farm to table dinners. Those are fun too. Make sure you're enjoying what's going on as the harvest is happening in your world. There are crafts and things that you can do, without a doubt. Let's see. You can make other seasonal crafts. Some people will take pumpkins and make like creatures out of them, carve pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns, that kind of thing, or wreaths, or the corn dollies, grapevine wreaths. Those are fun. I love those. There's so much that you can do to create with the fall stuff. Minnie and me gathered up a bunch of leaves, and we're trying to figure out how we can affix them to some fabric to turn them into lampshades for her lamp. She wants a different lampshade, and she wants those fall colors. And she's having fun. So that's something you can do with your kiddos. Bring the leaves in. What can you do to celebrate fall with your kiddos? And it's not just rake up the leaves and jump in the piles, although that's fun too. It really is, actually. But yeah, what is it? And if you are out hiking and such, make sure you take your kiddos at least once in a while, because you want them to experience the changing of the seasons as well. And what's different? What are the trees doing differently as their leaves are getting ready to fall? Or if you're looking at the pine trees, what are they doing differently than the broadleaves? Look at the birds. What are they doing differently? The moose locally are already putting on their winter coats. So are the deer. As far as farm animals go, the cows are starting to put on their winter coats, and so are the horses, and goats and such. So that tells me, yep, winter is coming. So what's changing? What's different? Take your kiddos out and ask them, what's different when maybe take them to a petting zoo, in the summer versus at the end of summer towards fall. And so they can, as they're petting, they can feel the different textures with the coats and everything, because they get fuzzier. And there's just so much you can do to step away from the mundane stuff that we have to deal with right now to, find that magic again, because it is out there. It's in your house, it's in your home, it's outside your front door, and it's just the magic of the season will help reawaken you and prepare you for the darker months. So, on that note, we're about to go to our next break, top of the hour. When we come back, we'll do some singing bowl, and we'll continue talking about Mabon. So, see you in a few.
Says it is keeping our airport safe and secure from attack. What are they? This Onion News Network
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. Hope you guys are having just a fantabulous Friday. Because, yes, it is Friday. It's cold. It is 46 degrees Fahrenheit right now. It's not cold, but it is definitely not warm. Hold on, let me look at the forecast for the next week. Forecast for the week is pretty consistently mid 50s to mid 60s for highs and low 40s to upper 30s for lows. Yeah, definitely some colder temperatures. So, which is why I'm putting plastic on the windows. Otherwise, yeah, R value 1972. The wind blows right through. There's single pane glass. On that note, let's warm up with some singable. Yeah, singable. Sitting around the campfire, playing the singing bowls, banging the drums. Sounds like a good time to me. We can finally have fires again outside. Oof. So, let's see. Where are we? I've done that. We've done... nope. Symbols of the season. So... holy cow, Lucky. With Mabon, there's different symbols of the season, of course. So as you're looking for things to put out on your altar or to, use as decor around your house to celebrate the fall, right? You could put mid-autumn vegetables or like squash, eggplant, pumpkins, gourds. We see those a lot. Never really thought about it, right? How many Christian households do you see with pumpkins or squash or gourds or sheaves of grain, especially like corn stalks? That's kind of a pagan thing. Interesting. To have around, yep. Are apples and anything made for them, such as apple cider, apple pies, applesauce, apple butter, or dried apples, are very celebratory of the season. I remember, what was I in? First grade, kindergarten? Something like that. We made these little bitty doll heads out of dried apples. They're just cool. I remember we dried them in the oven. It's been a while. Remember, I'm not a spring chicken, so it's been a few years, and it was fun because it was interesting to see how the apples got all gnarly and dried up looking, and we'd turn them just into little bitty faces, probably like gnome faces, if you will. Seeds, nuts, seed pods, those are all a big thing to harvest right now and have growing. I've got some peppers I'll probably hang to dry here before too long, just because some things need to be dried before they get used. It stretches out the spice. For some reason, yellow tomatoes and peppers. That's what I've grown this year. Baskets, symbolizing the gathering of crops. Bushel baskets are easy to find if you live in an agricultural region with a lot of orchards nearby. So also the Horn of Plenty. That's why it's very popular in the fall, because it's often a basket, symbolizing things, fruits and vegetables and flowers and stuff falling out of it. Well, it's because it's symbolizing harvest and a thankfulness in the abundance of harvest. Once upon a time, it wasn't necessarily a basket. It may have been a goat horn or something like that. Oh, Lucky likes to use an apple as a candle holder, so she puts a cinnamon tea light in the middle of the apple. So she cores the apple, and then she puts a cinnamon tea light in the middle of it. That smells yummy. I can almost smell it now. Nummy. I have some apples I need to do something with tomorrow now, just because I want that apple pie smell. So yeah, the cornucopia, or the horn of plenty, that kind of thing. Yeah, definitely. Often showed as a basket and full of stuff to celebrate the harvest time. Sickles, scythes, and other harvesting tools are often shown as a way of celebrating. Okay, the scythe is more of a... In the U.S., we associate that with death for some reason, but so yeah, it could work. But sickles and scythes are often around. Something else is bales of hay, bales of straw. Those are used a lot right now for decor. Walmart has these little bitty bales of hay about the size of 2 loaves of bread, roughly. They're like $16 a piece. Couldn't believe it. Like straw. It's like seriously, guys. Whoever came up with that idea is just what a racket. Oh my. Justin says that he used to check his kids' browsing history on their computers and found out they learned how to smoke weed through an apple. So that's one I don't know that I would have thought of. But I suppose. Interesting. Okay, suppose you can do anything. A carrot would have made more sense, maybe. In agricultural societies, actually in the hunter-gatherer type societies across the world, one of the really big, important, or fundamental pillars of their society was hospitality. Because it was really, really important to develop a relationship with your neighbors. Because they might be the ones to help you if your family ran out of something or had an issue, or you might be helping their family for the same reasons. And so a lot of people, particularly in rural areas, often celebrate the harvest with with feasting of some sort, and they invite their friends and family, loved ones, and they have a good time. Maybe it was when the cattle are coming from the pasture and going into, down by the barn, so they're easy to keep an eye on, that sort of thing. So maybe instead of, just celebrating with a small dinner, maybe it's time to celebrate your family and everybody coming out of lockdown with a big feast. Have a big barbecue, bonfire, that kind of thing. Be safe, practice safe gathering. Try not to roll my eyes too hard on that, because you should practice safe gathering anyways. We haven't really been able to celebrate the being together of family and friends very much the last couple of years. So if you can, you do it. If you are hesitant to be around a bunch of people, then don't feel compelled to go and hang out with people if you don't feel safe for any reason, not just because of COVID. But yeah, celebrate the season. But yeah, often hosting a family or hosting your neighbor or people in the area coming to visit, wanderers, travelers, that kind of thing, that was a really big deal. And so throughout history, the codes of conduct when it comes to hospitality is huge. That's why sharing salt, if you share salt with someone, it means they're family for a little bit. It's a really big deal. There's a lot of importance to that, because you're basically saying to your family, you're part of my protected circle for that period of time. Grapes, vines, and wine are also another big thing to have around. Not so much here because I don't see much of them, but when I lived in the Midwest, often I would gather vines and make wreaths. And people like to pay money for wreaths that are handmade like that. And it was just stuff that My grandmother had been clearing the fence because a vine had grown crazy. And yeah, I just sat there as I was doing things. I just made a bunch of wreaths and had them stacked up. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing?" It's like, "Well, it made sense. This way they stack better instead of just a big pile." And it was crazy. So, but yeah, grapevines are really good for that also. And people often have grapes or representations of grapes around their house as a show or a display piece. Well, often it's a display piece of plenty. So, Lewis says he had a nightmare about being attacked by a hummingbird. I have been attacked by a hummingbird. It is disturbing. It's like, why is this little bitty thing, slightly bigger than a bumblebee, buzzing me, literally? Yeah. So yeah, those couple different things to have around, and it doesn't have to be big. So for those of you who are still in the pagan pantry or the broom closet, when it comes to celebrating or decorating for a season, it doesn't have to be big and overboard. You don't have brooms and orange and black and plants and skulls and crystals and candles and all the things. It could be something little. A couple of gourds in the middle of your table. An apple with a candle burning in the middle of it. That could be representative of your altar. So remember, kiddos, your altar does not have to be a big deal. It can be something small and understated because it's a touchstone for your belief, rather in your practice and your spirituality, rather than a sign, that you're hanging out your window saying, "Oh, hey, I'm a pagan. Check me out." No, it's personal, so it doesn't have to be a big thing. So I already talked about Demeter and Persephone, but another deity that is often associated with fall is Inanna. So Inanna was a Sumerian goddess and the incarnation of fertility and abundance. And Inanna descended into the underworld where her sister Ereshkigal ruled. So Ereshkigal decreed that Inanna could only enter her world in the traditional ways by stripping herself of her clothing and earthly possessions. And by the time Inanna got there, Ereshkigal had unleashed a bunch of plagues, which killed Inanna. So while Inanna was visiting the underworld, the world ceased to grow and produce. And then a vizier restored Inanna to life and sent her back to Earth. And as she journeyed home, the Earth was restored to its former glory. So Inanna's death and rebirth is also symbolic of the world going dormant in the fall and winter, and then awakening in the spring and summer. So if you've heard the Geo's track that's out where Shuri Geo is chanting the deities, Inanna is one of them. And that's where Inanna comes from. Let's see. In the Asatru groups, they often honor the fall equinox as winter nights, as in good night, which is a festival sacred to Freyr. And then, in general, just it's a time of getting together and celebrating it. You don't have to be a big deal. Just celebrate it. Honor the darkness and the light. Let's see. Got that one. I want to make sure I've gotten all my little things. So, there's a balance meditation that you can do this time of year that's specific. So, with the night and dark being equal for the first day of fall, it's because it's a good time to meditate on the balance of light and dark, good and bad, health and illness, whatever is being unbalanced in your world, because it is a day of perfect balance. So it's 24 hours of balance, light versus dark. And taking some time to meditate then and grounding out the negative energies and letting them go and bringing in the good energies. It can be a really powerful individual ritual. You don't have to have a bunch of people hanging around to do an individual meditation, but you could. Another thing you could do is do a barrier of harmony and protection around your property. You can do it as a coven, you can do it as a family, or you can do it as a solitary practitioner. It doesn't really matter. And basically, a barrier of harmony and protection helps to keep out the negative influences that try to get in of their own free will. That doesn't mean that you can't bring a negative influence in, because you can. Just by turning on the TV and watching the news, you're bringing that negative stuff in. This is the stuff that would come of its own free will. So, what when you set out your wards, or that barrier, ward is WARD. What are you doing to protect your house and your home, and keeping your property protected? And let's see, what else? Now, some pagan groups do prefer to have a season-specific full moon ceremony in addition to the one that marks the Sabbath. So sometimes there'll be one for the full moon, and then later in the week there'll be one for the Sabbath for Mabon. Others doing both at the same time. Some celebrate the corn moon, the harvest moon, the blood moon in October, all at the same time. For many, the first day of Mabon is the 21st, and it ends on the 29th. So it's a time of celebration, and it's a week long. It's not just okay, well, we did the thing, we're done, we're moving on. Stop and think about it, just like there's 12 days of Christmas. You stop and think about the season of Mabon. How are you celebrating it? It's just an easy time to stop and reflect and offer up the thankfulness, the good things. If it helps, a really good visualization would be on the 21st, when you get up, you're getting ready for your day, take your dry erase marker, because it seems like we all have them anymore, or go get them. Dollar Store has them, they're cheap. And write on your bathroom mirror something you're thankful for, or that you were thankful for from the previous day, or the previous month, or the year, whatever. And you do that every day for the period of Mabon. And at the end, take a picture of it so you have it. So maybe post it to Facebook, send it to me, whatever. Tell me what you celebrate. Send it to me. wildepaisley@gmail.com. I'll read them out online. Because it's important to celebrate our successes and celebrate the things that we're thankful for. And if you write them down like that, that means you're focusing your energy on the positives rather than the negatives in life. And I'm not saying you're always going to be Susie Sunshine, because sometimes life is just crap, and I get it. I really, really do get it. And there's been a lot of crap in the last couple of years. So stop and think and ask yourself, what can you do to help you to focus on the negative and let go of the crap that is fed to us every day by society? And I'll just use that kind of loosely, because society isn't just what you see on TV. Society is the people that you're around. They're the people you socialize with. Is that your friends, your family, your loved ones, your coworkers, your enemies, the public? What is it? So yeah, take a deep cleansing breath when you're writing the things down. And what is it that you need to do to help focus and celebrate the things that you are thankful for? Let's see. That's not what I want. Scroll. And remember, a lot of the things that we use to celebrate, those tools, they don't have to be major. They can be little things. Maybe, this is a good one, make your own potpourri. So maybe, what are your favorite smells in the fall? I love, honestly, the smell of fires burning, because a lot of times, your wood stoves are starting up with the apple pie spices and everything. What is it that brings that warm, comfy feeling that you experience in the fall? Well, you can make your own potpourri. So potpourri comes from the French word for rotten pot. So pot means pot, and pourri means rotten. So it's often used to describe a collection of dried flower petals, leaves, and herbs and spices that are used to scent the air. And it was a common practice for the French in the early 17th century to use the mixtures to scent their homes. Do you know why? They didn't use soap. That's why. Nobody used soap for a while. Bathing was a, ooh, you're going to die if you take a bath. Yeah. Anyways, and, you know, societies throughout time have been partial to good smells. So even before the French started calling things potpourri, you know, things happened. Emperors of ancient Rome were advocates of scented products, both to anoint the body and to freshen the living space. Ancient Egypt, pharaohs used perfumed ointment and oils, and fragrant rushes and plants were strewn about to, homes and temples to keep the air fresh. You know, remember, indoor plumbing, personal hygiene, kind of a new thing. So they did a lot of things to try to keep the air smelling good, like sachets of yummy stuff in their drawers and closets to keep stuff smelling good. I actually have lavender soap bars of expensive lavender soap in my drawers in my dresser, just because I like the smells. So there's a recipe for, I'll put this link in the show notes. It's an apple spice potpourri. It's got dried apples, cinnamon sticks, orange peels, cloves, nutmeg, and rosemary. And then you can add a couple drops of vanilla or cinnamon oil. You use a mortar and pestle to grind it all up into little bits and pieces. And you can put it out in a bowl so it smells good. Or you can, you know, simmer it on the stovetop. You can make your own incense. So I use cedar that I dry, and then I grind it up. I also use pine pitch that has an incense, and you can combine that with like little bitty pine cones, that kind of thing. And so if you want your own, you use sandalwood, pine, rosemary, cinnamon, dried apple, and dried oak leaf. Combine it together, and a little chant you can do to say when you're doing it, which I like, is Mabon, a season of dark and light, balance of day turning to night, counting my blessings and all I have and do, love and harmony and gratitude too. Mabon herbs bring balance to me as I will it, so mote it be. Which I like that. I don't always like rituals that are prefab, but I like that one. It's nice, simple, and it's, I don't know, it feels good. You can make a God's eye. That's the 2 sticks crossed, like a plus sign, and then you weave the rope, and it's called a God's eye. I know we did them in grade school because it looked like a kite, and that was the important part. You can have prosperity candles. So you can either pick a candle that's in a harvest color and add essential oils to it, and you can use a stylus or a pencil to inscribe your intent or sigils of protection, that kind of thing. Or something to, like if you're looking to draw abundance to your household, like money and such, you can write that on the candle, and then you burn the candle. And if you're not sure of an exact dollar sign or amount, you can use a dollar sign or the symbol for your common currency. And then you burn the candle. And as you light the candle and meditate on the flame, focus your intent and imagine it building first as a small spark and then growing into a large ball of light. Then maintain that image in your mind as long as you can, and then release it into the candle flame. And of course, if you are burning candles, make sure it's safe. You don't want to burn candles, you know, under your curtains, that kind of thing. So be aware. Practice safe candle burning. And, you know, all these different things, there's a lot of them, right? That you could do. You don't have to do all of them. You don't have to do none of them. You can do any number that feels appropriate for you. And if there's something that stands out to you as you're doing your research and figuring it out, make sure you're journaling the different things that you try and how you feel about it. And the ones that really resound with you and the ones that really feel right, you know, own those. And if something you did felt good but not quite what it should be, accept it. It's like, that wasn't quite what I wanted. So, adapt it, fix it, figure out what's going to help you find your successes and make you feel the best about the rituals that you're doing. Because it's not about doing what everybody else is doing. It's about doing what is right for you. Because we're all unique and individual. And on that note, we're going to our last break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about some other ways to celebrate that folks around the world do. See you in a few.
From around the world.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. It's been a fast night tonight, kids. We're in the last half hour of the show, and tonight we've been talking about Mabon, or fall equinox, which is coming right up, like 4 days. Can you believe it? This year has been such a odd combination of screaming by and dragging its feet all at the same time. I don't get it. It's like the year has been a screaming toddler the entire time, and it's exhausting to deal with the entire time. But when the toddler finally goes to sleep, you look around, you realize months have passed. I don't get it. It's just zing, gone. Just crazy to me. So, yeah. So tonight, talking about Mabon. Now, we've talked about some ways to celebrate with your kiddos, some of the meaning and symbology, and such. Let's see. And then, so let's see. Some crafting you can do. Yeah, there's a lot of crafting you can do. Okay, this is my favorite time of the year, so all I can think is like, so many crafts. One of the brooms that I made for myself is very fall themed. It's got twigs and grasses and leaves and on it and such, and it's all in the fall colors. Yes, so fall. Happy fall, y'all. So around the world, though, Mabon is celebrated a little bit differently. Remember, here in the U.S., we can only see what's happening to ourselves. We can't see what's going on around the world for some reason. Oh, yeah. Lucky says making wreaths for the next season is easy, cheap, and awesome. Yeah, it is easy. Holy cow. You know how a lot of local groups will sell like wreaths for fundraising and such for Christmas? Honestly, it's not that hard. I have some trees. You just cut some down, put it in a circle, which again isn't hard. You need some floral wire to, wire everything together, and some ribbons and Christmas balls. So if you spend $1 for the floral wire at the dollar store, and you spend $1 for some ribbon at the dollar store, and you spend $1 at the dollar store for some Christmas ornaments, and you spend an afternoon with your kiddos, you spend like $5, and you've got stuff for your kiddos to do, and you can sell a couple on Facebook. It's like, hey, looky what I made. I made one for all my doors and decided I didn't want to do that, and I've got some extras. Anybody interested? Yeah, it's not that hard. And dollar store has a pretty good selection of Christmas stuff about the 1st of October. I got to tell you, the Christmas shopping season seems to start earlier every year. I don't get it. That's being said. The Halloween shopping season can last all year, and I'm okay with that. So it's my biases showing. I prefer Halloween over Christmas. So, a couple countries, different ways to celebrate. So in the UK, it's Mabon, just so you guys know, is generally considered a new name for an old celebration. It's just celebrating the fall. So it's a time to celebrate and give thanks for the summer months, take part in the harvest, and pay tribute to the coming darkness of winter. Also a time to prepare for Samhain, the bigger festival that happens end of October, 1st of November. So in the UK, there's a couple different ways. So around Stonehenge, some folks will gather to watch the sunrise on the September equinox. They also happen at the March equinox, winter solstice, summer solstice, and they're very, very popular. A lot of the neo-druids like to attend, and contemporary pagans and witches and such. Now, they are limiting those celebrations. It's not open to the public anymore, in part because people were not very respectful of the ancient site. And so, sadly, you got to pay attention. If you're going to go celebrate at an ancient site, any of the equinoxes or any of this holidays or anything like that, be respectful, kids. Clean up after yourself. Pack it in, pack it out. The basic hiking 101. But yeah, be respectful and clean up after yourself. So yeah, in the UK, Stonehenge sunrise. pretty cool. I think it'd be fun to go see. I would love to go see that one. But think of it as on my bucket list, but not at the top. Let's put it that way. The Snake of Sunlight happens in Mexico. So at the fall and spring equinox, the ancient Mayan pyramid at Chichen Itza in Mexico is arranged to represent the different movements of the sun. And so the main pyramid, it's also known as El Castillo, is the primary location because at the precise moment of equinox, a shadow forms on the main stairs that looks like a snake of sunlight is slithering down the stairs. So, again, it is open to the public most years, but it also being restricted because people are jerks and are not taking care of the place. So if you do want to attend, look into it a little bit. I don't know that I'd want to go buy my plane tickets, tomorrow because they're going to get pricey, but there's nothing wrong with planning for it. In Japan, there's the Higan, and it's a Buddhist celebration called Higan or Higani, which is celebrated during the week of September and March, so both the fall and spring equinoxes. And it's because at the equinox, the sun sets in the west, which is where the Japanese Buddhists believe the land of the afterlife is located, so due west. And both have been national holidays since the Meiji period. And it's a time to remember the dead by visiting, cleaning, and decorating their graves. Higan is also a time of meditation and a time to visit living relatives. So a lot of the Asian cultures, actually a lot of cultures outside of the U.S., revere the dead. Some dig them up and take them partying, which I don't understand that particular one, but to each their own. But yeah, honoring the dead, honoring our ancestors, I think is appropriate. So that's why I honor my ancestors. I have a pocket watch I generally keep on my altar. That was my great-great-great-grandfather's. It doesn't work anymore. Is it a very expensive one, fancy one? No, he was a farmer, worker, laborer. He wasn't a rich man, so, but he had a nice pocket watch, and I use that. It's kind of a touchstone or a memorial for me for my ancestors and those that have gone before me. So when I'm looking at my altar or paying attention, it's my touchstone, if you will, for that particular aspect of my beliefs. In China and Vietnam, both, they have a moon festival. Oh my. So Justin says he just found himself at the top of the ladder in the wind and rain, putting plastic back on the greenhouse again. I'm sorry, Justin. That is horrible. You have my sympathy. And that's, remember to stop and get warm once in a while and be safe. So the Moon Festival is celebrated on the full moon closest to the fall equinox. And so that for Asia, that'll be October 1st. And the Moon Festival celebrates the summer harvest. So people celebrate by giving moon cakes to friends and family. Moon cakes are a delicious pastry with lotus, sesame seeds, duck eggs, or dried fruits on the inside. Yum. And the Moon Festival is also a great time to spend moon gazing. In the southern U.S., some people celebrate the Moon Festival by giving out moon pies. It's a similar holiday in Korea is called a Chuseok. So, I didn't think about that. Moon pie is representative of the Moon Festival. Sure, you can give out moon pies. I don't particularly like them. There's way too much sugar in that stuff, but, it's real. And some people really like them. Yep, moon pies. Okay. Lucky's laughing at me. Moon pies. So moon pies are something that you can buy. Mm-hmm. And so is an American confection. It's got 2 round graham cracker cookies with a marshmallow in the middle, dipped in chocolate flavored coating. They also make a banana flavored moon pie. So basically, it's a suburban or urban s'more. Yeah. Lucky it is as magical as fart. Hey, when you need sugar and calories and chocolate and all that stuff, a moon pie works, man. And it's the intention behind the item, not necessarily the item itself. So, Michaelmas is often celebrated around the fall equinox. It's a Christian celebration generally. It's also known as the Feast of Michael and All Angels, and it takes place on September 29th. And even though it's not a major festival in most churches, quite a few Catholic churches do celebrate it still. Some scholars believe the feast was set near the autumn equinox to draw the faithful away from the pagan celebrations, just like many other Christian holidays. So if you do enjoy celebrating Michaelmas, you might enjoy some other secular activities if the church isn't your thing. So Michaelmas traditionally has activities that include gathering and eating nuts or blackberries or eating a fattened goose. So yeah, there's also, it seems like a lot of these celebrations have food. Yeah. So, yeah, like he says, today moon pies are made by Chattanooga Bakery, Inc. in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I wish they made a gluten-free version just so I could have one, but sadly they don't. I gotta tell you, I am counting calories because I'm trying to keep track of what I'm eating and paying attention because, the health issues, right? Well, you'd be surprised at some of the things that are really not healthy and have lots of calories versus the ones that don't, or carbs or fats. Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. And so yeah, being gluten-free, I've cut back on the carbs. I do like s'mores though, but graham crackers are not gluten-free. So if I desperately need a s'more and I am the only one to have a s'more, I will put my marshmallow in the toaster oven and I'll brown it and I'll have my toasted marshmallow. Is it the same thing? No, it's not. Is it cheating? Yes, it is. Do I care? No, because a toasted marshmallow is a toasted marshmallow. Hi, Eliza. So, and like he says, moon pies were always sickly sweet, just like the sweet tea they make. They put sugar in everything. Yes, I do not appreciate all the sweet. If I'm making s'mores, I tend to use I'll use Hershey's chocolate just because it's easy, but a dark chocolate is fantastic with that marshmallow. Num num num. So, let's see, other celebrations. So in Lithuania, the people will light candles after sunset during the autumn equinox to celebrate. In Poland, it's called the Feast of Greener, and they get foods and bouquets that are blessed by a priest and use them for medicine. Hindu people in India celebrate Navaratri, which is a festival that lasts several days in the months of September and October, and it honors the divine feminine Devi, known as Durga. And there are quite a few more different celebrations out there for fall equinox. And again, there's so many different ways to celebrate the holidays or the festivals and such, the Sabbats. You don't even have to celebrate all the Sabbats. You should note them, write them on your calendar, and write about them in your journal. What do they mean to you when you think about celebrating harvest and the last year? What comes to mind? What do you celebrate? What are you celebrating? Me, even though I've got some health issues I'm dealing with, I'm warm. I do have coffee that I can make because my coffee cup's empty. I have water to drink. I have some really awesome friends and family. Holy cow, you guys are rocking. I'm warm. I said that once. I'll say it again. I'm warm. Because often I'm cold when I'm down in the studio. You know, just what do you appreciate? And I gotta tell you, since this whole COVID mess happened, knock on wood, I haven't had a cold. Normally I get a sinus infection, my allergies kick up and make me sick. I'm a little froggy, I think, because of the sinuses, because molds and such are happening. And our local power line or power company is cleaning up the power line right-of-ways. And they're not joking when they're cleaning it up. They've got heavy equipment with chippers on them. They're doing like a 10-foot swath of cleaning things up. And it's important, you know, because the more they do now, before snow flies, the safer it'll be for them should the weather get icky and they have to go out there and work on it. And so, yeah, gratitude. What is it you're thankful for? Are you thankful for your health? Are you thankful for your job? Thankful for opportunities? Thankful some things didn't work out? I mean, there's that Garth Brooks song where he goes, "Thank God for unanswered prayers." Yeah, how many things have you begged for in your life that you didn't get? And in retrospect, you're like, well, I'm glad that didn't work out. I can think of several right off the top of my head. We're not going to go into that list because, wow, we don't need to bring up that drama. But those are still things that, you know, I think about every so often. It's like, you know, who would I be if that thing had worked out? Or if I had done this instead? If I'd made that left turn instead of a right turn? Or hadn't made that change? Yeah. And so when you think about that, you know, remember to give thanks for the things that didn't work out. Even though it sounds weird, it's like, oh, that didn't work out and it sucked. Well, you wouldn't be who you are today if you hadn't experienced it. I mean, truly. And it is often the hardest battle to find acceptance of self. And just like it's easier to help other people figure things out, it's harder for us. Often it's easier to accept other people as they are and harder for ourselves to accept ourselves as we are. And we're all a work in progress. So remember, as you're trying to figure it out, figure out who you are today and what you're trying to accomplish, you know, accept yourself as you are. The good, the bad, the ugly, the wrinkles, the lines, the weight, the extra fluff, the hair, the lack of hair, however you want to look at it. Celebrate yourself. Because without the influences that you've had in other people's lives, they wouldn't be where they are today either. And that is something that we have to remember to be thankful for as well. And that one's kind of a hard one also. I mean, we don't generally think about the impact we have on other people's lives when we're in it. You know, the things we do, the choices we make, the food, the ideas we share, the food we share, the experiences we share, and how people develop their perceptions of us. And often, you know, it's hard to remember that they are who they are because they've experienced life the way they have. So as we accept them, we also have to accept that we have influenced them a certain way as well. And whatever you do, don't take whatever TV says to be true. Just like I hope you guys are getting your information from real sources rather than, you know, just picking up stuff off social media and assuming that's the true and accurate stuff. Justin is thankful that his plastic is all back down while the wind is blowing and raining and being miserable. So I sure hope you dry off and get warm there, kid. Because icky. Let's see. You know, some people celebrate fall and the Equinox by scheduling their family pictures for their Christmas cards. That always feels like people that have it way together do that. I'm apparently too last minute for that. Hey, D. I do like to take photos of the changing seasons and compare them. So I have this little pagoda type light that's supposed to be outside, and the batteries I think are burnt out, or the light. It's one of those solar lights, and I need to redo it. And I like to take pictures of it in the different seasons because it's a way for me to illustrate the weather and how it's impacting us with something stable and consistent. So sometimes it's got snow on it, sometimes it's the sun rising behind it. I've had bees flying around it. I've had flowers around it, green grass, fog, rain, all of that. It's kind of, I don't know, I just like it. I use it for all those things. So yeah, it's awesome. And thanks, Justin, for telling me that that lovely weather that you're currently experiencing is headed my way. I know. It's supposed to be icky. Hi, Eliza. It's spring down in Ozland, so yes. Enjoy your spring, my dear, as you're planting your gardens and preparing. For those of you who do like to make corn dollies, if you don't have access to corn, a lot of grocery stores now are becoming more diversified, and in the ethnic food sections, you can buy corn husks for tamales, and you just have to kind of get them wet so you can use them and shape them into a corn dolly. I will probably be doing that myself with Mini-Me, because she likes doing crafts and learning things. And it's funny, Eliza says Ozland. We are reading Ozma of Oz right now. So, it's amazing the different traditions that have survived the years and the ones that are coming. And don't be afraid to make your own traditions. The things that resound with you today. How are you remembering them? How are you marking those? Whether it's time spent with family or friends or not spent with those folks. Because I know the distancing thing has been weird. I'm just waiting for the post that says, 50 ways to use used surgical masks. I'm just waiting. I personally like the cloth ones. I just throw them in the washing machine inside of a garment bag. Yeah. So, there's a lot of ways to celebrate. And even though, the fall and the equinox and Mabon is a good time to celebrate being thankful and bounty, or moving from a time of plenty into the potential for bounty, we need to remember to be thankful all the time, not just now. Just don't be, is it the ENC Christian, which is Eastern Christmas, or CNE Christmas, something like that. Don't be just a pagan on the holidays or when it's convenient, because any spiritual path does require some work. It does require some introspection and some consideration. What is it that you need to do to help you stay on an active spiritual path? And when I say active, I'm not saying you're sitting in front of the TV or the computer or someone in the bully pulpit, talking about your spiritual path. No, this is time invested into self, whether you're doing meditation or yoga, going for walks or hikes or exercise, or learning about the deities or the different ways to celebrate. What are you investing in yourself? So maybe that's a goal for the next year. Because investing in self is really, really valuable. The return on that particular dividend is huge. Invest in yourself. Sometimes that means, yes, you do need the therapy, you need the shadow work, and you need the gym all at the same time. There's a possible business opportunity. Open a gym that provides therapists and counselors for shadow work. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, goodness, don't mind me. So that is it for tonight. Can you believe it? We've been here for 2 hours already. So If you have questions or concerns or ideas for the show, or if you want to just share your thoughts, the things you're thankful for, don't be afraid to email me. It's wildepaisley@gmail.com. wildepaisley@gmail.com. I do try to keep updates on the website, so check that out too. That's just paisleywild.com. We will see you tomorrow night here on YouTube and TFR. And thanks for joining all and your contributions and hanging out with me as I explore my own path. I really appreciate all you do. So merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. And we will see you tomorrow night.